It was the first morning of 2025. A cold breeze filled the air. The new year had begun. But something felt strange. Four friends, Ayan, Nera, Karan, and Sia, had celebrated the New Year's Eve at their respective homes. But when morning arrived, something unusual was in the air. Ayan looked out of his window. The streets were completely empty. No cars, no people, not even children. Ayan, Nera, wake up. Look outside. Everyone's gone. Nera, what? Stop joking. Ayan, I'm serious. Come quickly and see. Nera peeked out of the window, and her face turned pale. They immediately called Karan and Sia. Karan and Sia said the same thing. There's no one around us either. Everyone is missing. The four friends decided to meet at the old town square. When they reached the square, the atmosphere felt even stranger. The streets were deserted. Shop shutters were closed. The trees swayed gently in the wind. But there was no sound of human life. Sia, is this some kind of joke? How can an entire city disappear? Karan, this feels like something out of a movie. Maybe someone's playing a prank. Nera, this isn't a joke. Something big and terrifying is happening. We need to get to the police station. The four friends decided to head to the police station. As soon as they entered the police station, a chill ran down their spines. Furniture was overturned. Files were scattered across the floor. One computer was still on, and a message was displayed on its screen. This is a new beginning. You have very little time. Ayan, what does this mean? What new beginning? Sia, this feels like someone's toying with us, but it's no prank. Nera suddenly looked at her wrist and saw a strange circular mark. Nera, this mark, when did this happen? The other three looked at their wrists and found the same mark on them. Karan, this wasn't there before. Sia, this is something really weird. We need to figure this out quickly. As they ventured deeper into the city, the surroundings grew even more ominous. Cars stood idling on the roads, but no drivers were inside. A group of monkeys sat on the roadside, staring intently at them. Outside a bakery, streaks of blood led inside the shop. Nera, this is all getting creepier by the minute. Ayan, we need to figure out what's happening in this city. As soon as the clock struck 12, it felt as if time had stopped. Suddenly, a second mark appeared on their wrists, darker and larger than the first. Nera, why is this mark growing every hour? What does it mean? Sia, it might be counting down our lives. At that moment, a sinister laugh echoed through the air. It was a woman's low, haunting laughter. Laughter you cannot escape. This is the beginning of your end. Just then, Karan spotted a figure in the window of a nearby building. Karan, I saw someone up there. The four friends ran toward the building. Inside the building, they found an old room. In the center of the room was a large clock, frozen at 12:59. On the walls, written in red, were the words, "This is the consequence of your actions. The new year will be your last." Suddenly, shadows began to close in from all sides. The four friends stood frozen in fear. A deep voice echoed through the room. "You've committed many mistakes in your lives. This is the New Year's cleansing. You will vanish just like everyone else." Sia, no, please give us a chance. Voice, your time is up. As soon as the clock struck 1 o'clock, the friends' screams filled the room. And then, silence. The next day, a news reporter arrived at the scene. Hanging from a tree were 4 watches. Each stopped at 1 o'clock. Message for you. This story reminds us that time waits for no one. We must value every moment of our lives. a small village nestled between dense forests and sprawling fields, is home to old banyan trees outside every house, their branches stretching toward the sky. The narrow, foggy lanes of the village are filled with hardworking and simple people. But there is an unsettling fear in their eyes that intensifies every year on New Year's Eve. This is the story of that village, where every year on New Year's Eve, a terrifying event occurs. The villagers believe that a malevolent spirit haunts the village, awakening every New Year's night to wreak havoc. This spirit is none other than the soul of Sahil, the village's most beloved and good-natured boy. At the mention of Sahil's name, a gentle smile and innocence appear on everyone's face. But one day, on New Year's Eve, Sahil's mysterious death shook the entire village. No one had ever imagined that such a fate would befall him. The boy who always helped others, how did he meet his end? This question remains fresh in the villagers' hearts. The villagers believe that every New Year's night, Sahil's spirit awakens and brings destruction. After his death, every year on New Year's Eve, a sense of fear spreads throughout the village. People shut their doors and windows, and no one dares to step outside at night. They believe that unless Sahil's spirit finds peace, it will only become more dangerous. The year 2025's New Year was approaching, and as the days passed, the villagers' fear grew. Like every year, the atmosphere in the village was filled with dread. However, this year, a boy named Ajay, who was an old friend of Sahil, was unaware of the ghost stories. To him, they seemed like mere rumors. Ajay decided that he would put an end to this fear. He thought that if everything about Sahil's spirit was understood, the terror in the village would end. Ajay made up his mind to spend New Year's Eve in an old temple on the outskirts of the village. He knew that if Sahil's spirit was indeed real, the only way to calm it was to understand it, so that the villagers could also be freed from the fear. It was New Year's night. Ajay decided to spend the night alone in the temple. The atmosphere of the temple was eerie. Every step he took echoed, and the surrounding darkness felt suffocating. As he ventured into the old, ruined part of the temple, he sensed something was wrong. But instead of fearing it, he focused on understanding Sahil's spirit. Suddenly, a strong wind began to blow, and strange noises filled the air. Ajay looked outside and saw a misty figure slowly approaching him. The figure grew larger with every step, and Ajay's heart raced. He was now certain that this was no human, but the very spirit that had been the cause of the villagers' terror. As the figure drew closer, Ajay noticed it was surrounded by a dark smoke. A chill ran down his spine. Trying to stay composed, he began to back away. But as he reached the door of the temple, the figure suddenly appeared before him. It was the very spirit he had heard about in the stories. The spirit spoke to Ajay, saying, "You never understood me. You all fear me, but I have come to help you." Ajay was stunned. He couldn't understand why the spirit would ask for help, especially when it was believed to be responsible for death and destruction. Sahil's spirit revealed to Ajay that it was forced to bring havoc every New Year's night due to a very old curse. Many years ago, Sahil had given food to a poor child who was starving. The child's parents could not forgive Sahil and killed him. From that day, his spirit was condemned to rise every New Year's night and cause chaos so that people would know the truth of his untimely death. Sahil's spirit said, "I never harmed anyone. I only gave food to a hungry child, and for that, I was killed. My curse is to spread destruction every New Year's night so that people will know I was murdered. Ajay was deeply moved by Sahil's story. He realized that the spirit needed peace, but for that, something had to be done. Ajay promised Sahil that he would help him find peace. Ajay told Sahil's spirit, I will help you, but to do that, I need to tell the villagers the truth. You are not here to harm us, but you need peace. Sahil agreed to Ajay's plan and promised to cooperate. Ajay then shared the entire story with the villagers. They were shocked, but gradually they understood that the only way to give Sahil's spirit peace was to forgive him and free his soul. The villagers performed a special prayer, and together they prayed for Sahil's spirit to find peace. As the prayer ended, Sahil's spirit blessed them, and slowly his presence faded away. At last, Sahil's spirit had found peace. The next day, after the new year, the village was filled with tranquility. The villagers now celebrated the new year with joy, sharing happiness without fear. Ajay, after helping Sahil's spirit, realized that sometimes fear arises only from things we don't understand. Now the villagers celebrate New Year's Day, not just with joy, but with truth, and will continue to do so. Sahil's spirit had forgiven them all, and there was no more fear or sorrow in the village. Everyone eagerly awaits New Year's Eve, but some consider this night the biggest mistake of their lives. A group of friends, including Rohit, Simran, Arav, Priya, and Tanya, decided to celebrate the new year in an isolated old mansion. Rohit, the leader of the group, told his friends about an old mansion. There were many old stories about it. Some people said it was haunted, while others claimed that the family who once lived there still came back to take revenge for their deaths. But these were just stories, and the friends decided to dismiss them as superstitions. The mansion was old, located on the outskirts of a town. The house had a yellowish color, and the roof was covered with cobwebs, which would scare anyone who saw them. But the friends ignored all of this, treating it as a joke. That night, when they arrived at the mansion, they remembered their dear friend Arav's plan to meet a woman. Arav, who was a little skeptical, joined the party without thinking much. Simran and Priya also saw this as an exciting adventure. Inside the mansion, the sound of a bell began to echo. No one could understand where it was coming from. Simran, who was a bit more curious, said, "Maybe someone is playing a prank." But Arav said, "This seems really strange. Let's check it out." When they tried to locate the source of the bell, they found nothing. They started to wonder if it was really a prank or something else. Just as they were pondering this, the lights began to flicker. Tanya and Priya laughed and said, "It's just the effect of the old mansion, nothing to worry about." However, as the night went on, they all began to feel a strange cold breeze. This breeze seemed to come from some other time, which didn't belong to any natural occurrence. They all stayed silent for a while, scared, but soon decided to continue the part. After midnight, another event occurred. The friends were dancing and celebrating the new year when suddenly they saw the ghostly figure of an old woman. There, in front of them, appeared an old woman whose face no one recognized. The woman slowly approached them, and her eyes glowed with a terrifying light. Arav saw her and, terrified, told Simran about it. Simran thought it could be an illusion. But when the woman came closer, everyone's face turned pale. Priya and Tanya also saw her, but they couldn't understand what they should do. Simran said, "Maybe this is just our imagination." But when the woman passed by them, A loud noise rang out as if someone had warned them. Now they realized that the mansion was truly haunted. Rohit and Arav, while going through the mansion's old records, discovered that a family had once lived there. One of the women from that family had died on New Year's Day, and her spirit would return every year on this day to take revenge for her death. Once they learned this, their faces were filled with fear. Priya, who had always been skeptical, said, "This is all just a rumor." But deep down, they all knew something more was happening. That night, as the bell rang again, they heard the woman's voice. Slowly, her voice seemed to draw them closer. The spirit's eyes were filled with a terrifying glow, and it tried to attack them one by one. They realized they had to do something. Rohit and Arav, using old books, performed a ritual. They believed they had to banish the spirit of the woman. When the spirit finally appeared before them, they all gathered and faced her. They used their mantras and rituals, but the spirit didn't allow them to stop. Everyone feared that they might be killed, but once the spirit was fully with them, she performed a final act where she released the memories of her old family and let go of her desire for revenge. After banishing the spirit, everything returned to normal. They decided to go back home and began to look at life from a new perspective. The story ends with a moral. The hero and his friends realized that every old story contains some truth, and it's always important to stay in your place. They understood that ignoring the past is the biggest mistake one can make. If you manage to sleep after this story, facing the next video might not be as easy. Do you dare to watch it? By the way, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.